Communicators attended 2 recent technology conferences and talked with some of the participants. We visited a tech fair sponsored by the Consumer Electronics Association and spoke with innovators there. But first, from Chicago, interviews with some of the leaders and attendees at the National Cable Television Association show.
Communicators has met up with Matthew Zinn, who is the Senior Vice President and General Counsel of TiVo. I'm going to presume that TiVo is a household word for people now. We don't have to explain what your business is. But Matt, tell me about this high-speed demonstration that we're seeing of Internet. Brian Roberts just showed us speeds that were incomprehensible even 2 years ago of delivery of content into the home. What does it mean for your business?
Well, I think what I'm seeing and what that means is that operators big and small are realizing that they need to innovate and get the internet into their set-top boxes and into the home in a way that makes sense for cable. And that's something that TiVo has been doing predominantly with smaller cable operators like RCN, Suddenlink, and now Charter, really upgrading their user interface, upgrading the experience, bringing in broadband content. I think it's terrific for the industry to be doing all that, and it's something that needs to be done in an age where consumers want to watch things on their iPads, want to interact with content in different ways, want to have a multi-stream experience, and have access to YouTube on their television. And things as simple as that, and Facebook, and integrate it all. It's all being driven by consumer demand, and cable's kind of responding to the challenge.
What percentage of your business right now is hardware versus software technology, and where's that going in the future?
Well, TiVo's a software company. We make hardware mainly as a necessary evil. We don't make money in hardware. We don't really like making hardware. We actually run on Cisco boxes in Europe and Samsung boxes in Europe. We'll probably be running on other vendors' hardware in the U.S. in the near future.
And tell me about what you're most excited with your technology, your software this year. What are you talking about in the business?
Well, what we're showing at the floor today, actually, ironically, is hardware that we're showing a 4-tuner DVR that allows you to have one single cable card in your home and then non-DVR devices in other rooms, which can all access the DVR content from one central location in the room, as well as internet content and other things that are all brought together in one user interface.
As in your role as General Counsel, since you're talking to C-SPAN, do you have a message for Washington, either policymakers or regulators who might be listening?
The one thing that we're not seeing on the floor today is we're not really seeing any innovation in retail devices. We're not seeing, there's a Samsung TV that gets a cable app, but we're not really seeing an opportunity for more and more CE devices to get this content in furtherance of some congressional policies.
So what's the message then?
The message is that there's still work to be done in that area.
And that's the message to Congress or to the manufacturers?
I think it's a message to the industry and regulators and everyone.
Thank you very much for visiting with us. Hope to see you again in Washington.
Thank you for the time.
We're on the floor of the 2011 Cable Show in Chicago. Caught up with Sean Bratches of ESPN. He's responsible for sales and marketing as an EVP there. Well, Sean, this is a show with a lot of promise. What's keeping you awake at night these days?
Oh, I sleep like a baby at night, but when I get up in the morning, I think a lot. But this is my 23rd NCTA show, and I think that the complement of technology, the energy, the interest of kind of making 1 + 1 = 8 among the content providers, the suppliers, and the distributors is really shining through at this show, and I think a lot of things are kind of coming out of that. Saw Brian Roberts demonstrate the cloud-based remote control. You're seeing a lot of applications on the authentication front from content providers that are in partnership with their multi-channel distributors. So there's a lot of really good and interesting things that are coming out of the show, which I think will ultimately serve consumers better and the businesses model over the long term.
Do you feel more competition than you've ever felt before?
we've been competing in in a very competitive market space, for the past 32 years at ESPN. So there's really nothing new. I think, so many people look at ESPN and say, hey, you have no competition. And George is famous for saying that it's really because no one else looks like us per se. But when you look at the aggregate of our component pieces, but when you look at each one, competition is fierce. And it's just, I think it's demonstrative of the value that the sports genre has to the consumer and how this is driving not only the linear platforms, but all of these tertiary platforms. And I think it's also important to note that with the proliferation of viewership, consumption behavior on computers, on tablets, and on internet-connected smartphones, the consumption of media is not a zero-sum game. It's really, it's much more additive. It's making, things like fantasy, being able to access content and creating new markets of time with people's brand. It's all adding back to the core, and we're seeing consumption on the linear television platform grow as a result.
The competition for sports rights and the dollars involved with that seems to be in direct competition with consumers who are wanting to pay less and less because they've got so many options. How do you manage that going forward?
Well, we try to program ESPN across all our platforms with a complement of content that drives the most value that we can, and we try to be smart about the investments we make. We don't buy everything. We don't have everything. So I think we have a very good handle of what's reflective of our value in terms of our relationship with our distribution partners. But ESPN has no direct influence in terms of retail pricing to the consumer. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about retail pricing and the consumer's bills.
I'm just thinking about all of the devices people are watching things on now and having the options there. And someone used the expression yesterday, trading analog dollars for digital pennies.
Yeah, but what we're doing is we're taking digital dimes and we're adding them to analog dollars, because you cannot get the ESPN services on any of these new platforms unless you are a paying video subscriber to a multi-channel content company. And you also have to, if you're ESPN or ESPN2, you have to have expanded basic. If you want ESPNU or ESPN News, for instance, you have to have digital basic. So
it's all additive.
It's all additive, and we're trying to drive the price-value relationship and support the entire ecosystem.
So what are you taking away from this show? Did you learn anything new this year?
I think I was encouraged by the interoperability of devices. I was encouraged by the cooperation between the myriad partners into one end. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity to exploit technology from a content holder's perspective to continue to drive our brands, our business models, and support our distribution partners.
Sean Bratches of ESPN, thanks for spending a few minutes with C-SPAN's Communicators.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Nice to have you. Thank you. Good to see you.
We are on the floor of the Cable Convention in Chicago and caught up with FCC Commissioner Clyburn. Thanks so much for spending a minute with us. I'm just curious about walking around this floor and through your eyes as a commissioner, what are you seeing here at the show?
I see options, and I think that is incredible for all of us, that anyone in America can see and feel themselves and experience things on this floor. You've got all types of programming options, you have all types of platform options, and that is what we want. We want every single person to, no matter where they are financially, no matter where they are in terms of the intellectual engagement, to see and be able to experience themselves through entertainment and education, and you got that at this show.
In this society right now, it's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. In your role as the commissioner, what kind of regulatory approach do you want to take to encourage the innovation and apply the best regulatory touch?
To make sure that we have the right type of balance. And when I say that, to make sure that we have the type of regulatory engagement that persons will be comfortable in terms of their interaction, especially online and especially with organizations and companies. And with the companies, make sure that we are productive partners as well as regulators in this process, that we get the regulatory balance right to encourage innovation, to encourage investment, but to encourage that type of interaction with the consumer that all of us benefit, that the engagement is healthy and productive.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
We're in Chicago on the floor of the Cable Show, as it's called, 2011, and have caught up with Amy Tyson, who runs Ben Broadband in Bend, Oregon. Tell our viewers about your business, please.
So we serve about 35,000 customers in Central Oregon, Bend, Redmond, Sisters, Prineville. We also have a wireless service that serves more of the rural areas with a great fixed wireless product. So we're getting broadband out there to folks that don't have it, as well as serving our communities.
I wanted to ask you about a new business that you've just announced, which is you're getting into the cloud computing or cloud server business.
Right.
Tell me more about it.
Well, we were looking for a new network operations center to serve our own needs, and at the same time, our area hospital was also looking to do some things differently with their own serving capabilities from the server standpoint, and moving those needs locally to Central Oregon. So we combined our discussions, and our facility then grew larger so that we could accommodate them. And as a result, we also have some other outside customers in the center, including financial institutions and now a technology company, in addition to serving our own needs. And the facility is very unique, Susan. It's carbon neutral, and as you may know, data centers are usually known for being very high users of power. And we've made a lot of efforts in our facility to make sure that it's a green facility, and that has some appeal for certain customers. So we're very excited about it.
Oregon seems to become a central hub for cloud computing. You've got some of the other big names in the business. They're there. Why has that happened, do you think?
Well, I think the power costs in Oregon are low, and our area has low temperatures, so you can use a lot of heat exchange type system to cool the facility with outside air, which makes it much more efficient to operate. Plus, where we live, there's lots of sunshine, and we have a large solar array, the largest in Central Oregon, on the roof of the facility.
So are you excited about the prospects of this as a revenue resource for you in the future?
We are. I think it's the direction things are going from a efficiency standpoint. Many businesses are at a point where they're trying to figure out what to do with their own server farms in their facilities. They need to upgrade those facilities, and do they want to move into a facility like ours, move into the cloud, or spend the resources to do their own? So we're very excited to be on the front edge of this with technology that's very efficient and secure and safe. We also have a Tier 3 Uptime Institute rating, which really talks about how reliable the facility is. And I think we're the only one in Oregon to have both the operations and the design Tier 3 rating. So we're very excited about the opportunities.
How many new jobs did you create?
We created 10 new jobs with this investment in our region, and I think it's a nice piece to the economic puzzle for our region to attract businesses into the area to get experience with some of the benefits that Central Oregon offers to businesses perhaps relocating there.
Let me move, and this will be my last because I know your time is short, to another hat, which is you're on the board of the National Cable Television Telecommunications Association, the sponsor of the Cable Show.
Yes.
You've been to a few of these. What are you sensing on the floor this year that's new and different? What's the message coming out of the show?
Well, Susan, you're right. It has been. I think I've been coming to these for about 30 years, and I have to say the energy is terrific. It's terrific. I think it has to do with a lot of the excitement around the new services that we're offering. TV everywhere, kind of the convergence in our sector with new competition, new opportunities, new ways to engage with our customers through video experiences maybe that they haven't had before. So we're really delighted with the energy at the show. The turnout is slightly ahead of where we've been in the past couple of years. And here it is 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's just a hive of activity. So I'm thrilled.
Amy Tyson of Ben Broadband, also a member of C-SPAN's Board of Directors, for which we thank you for your contributions.
And happy 30th birthday to C-SPAN.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
We're on the floor of the NCTA show in Chicago and caught up with Michael Wilner. Michael Wilner has been a longtime member of the NCTA board and C-SPAN board. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to be here.
We've seen you in a lot of public sessions around the show this year. You're frequently on stage talking about this business. it seems to be in a real period of transition right now. Tell me what's going on in this business.
Enormous transition. It's a breathtaking amount of change going on in the industry. I just left the general session where Brian Roberts demonstrated the next generation of user interface on the Xfinity product, which will be, a leading indicator of where the cable industry's user interface world is going, and it's just a whole new way of navigating the endless choices of channels and programs that consumers now have available to them.
Keep hearing from those of you who are leaders in the business about listening to consumers, but the technology is going to be also new. What's the relationship between exposing people to the options versus consumer demand?
Well, consumers are telling us what they want. I mean, the formula is pretty simple. If you open your ears and listen, they have unlimited sources available to them to choose programming from all kinds of different places, and we either can make it easy or hard for them to get it. The harder we make it, the more people will look for alternatives, and that train is out of the station, and we've got to be on it.
What digital devices are you using on a regular basis right now that you weren't, say, even a year ago?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, an iPad, and I use that quite regularly, and now I live in New York City, and I am able to watch Morning Joe on my iPad with my earphone in so I don't wake my wife up before I even get out of bed. So that's kind of a pretty neat addition to my cable service. But there are smartphones, the set-top box is dramatically changing to be able to interface with cloud-based applications and interfaces. So I mean, it's breathtaking change.
Let me just bring you back to a big concern for the country, which is jobs and the economy. What do you see happening here that might be encouraging for the country with regards to economic power of this business and or jobs creation?
Well, we're still creating jobs. In the worst recession since the Great Depression, the cable industry continues to create jobs, grow its employment base. I think that an understanding of what we're living through right now, despite the general economy, in telecommunications in general is no less important in the development of the future of the planet than the Industrial Revolution was, hundreds of years ago.
Michael Wildner, thanks for spending a few minutes with C-SPAN at the show.
Sure, thanks, Susan.
David Porter is the Executive Director of the Walter Cates Foundation. Thanks for being with us here at Chicago at the Cable Show 2011. The new head of the National Cable Television Association has suggested that cable hasn't told its stories very well and how much good work it actually has done. Walter Cates Foundation is one of those good stories. Tell me what it does.
Well, the Walter Cates Foundation was founded over 30 years ago with the idea of increasing diversity across the entire cable industry for our workforce, for our programming content, for our suppliers, and it really represents the commitment of the industry that the CEOs of most of the major companies serve as our board trustees and have allowed us over the years to create a number of programs and activities to provide funding for critical organizations within the industry to continue to advance the work of diversity across the entire industry.
How's it work? Give me an example of a major program that you do.
Well, we fund leadership development programs for senior executives of women and color that are sponsored by NAMIC, the National Association for Multi-Ethnicity and Communication, and WICT, Women Cable Telecommunications. We fund a large program for the Emma Bowen Foundation, which is a foundation that's designed to get high school students and freshmen and college interested in our industry, and it gives them internships and scholarships that go throughout their undergraduate experience. We also have an annual dinner, which is one of the best known events in the industry, called the Cates Dinner, where all the industry comes together to recognize and reward a company which has done significant work in the area of diversity.
How is the cable industry doing overall in terms of diversity employment? Not just these programs to help people get exposed to the industry, but actual employment within the companies of the industry.
The industry is doing a good job. I mean, certainly every company will admit there's more work to be done, but our companies are actively involved in continuing to not only recruit, but develop additional programs to retain our employees and actually move them up to the senior ranks. And so if you look across much of the industry, you'll see that women and people of color over the last decade or so have really made great strides, almost across every one of our companies.
Well, let me flip for our last question to the other side. People of color or women who are watching this interview, so much focus on jobs in our economy right now. What would you tell them they need to do to be prepared for good jobs in the cable industry?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is tell them, remember, cable is high tech. And so you want to have a technological background. If you can do that, that's great. Now then also, cable is big business. So if you're interested in any of the business fields, finance, marketing, operations, all those things, we're a great place for that as well. And then finally, of course, if you want to be on TV, we're where most of the content is being created these days.
Dr. Porter, thanks very much for talking to us about the Walter Case Foundation.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Communicators also attended a technology fair on Capitol Hill, sponsored by the Consumer Electronics Association. We talked with some of the innovators who were showing their wares.
And another one of the exhibitors here at the Consumer Electronics Show on Capitol Hill is a company called SyncBack. Jack Perry is the founder and CEO of SyncBack. Mr. Perry, what do you make?
Well, what we've created is an authentication technology to move broadcast television over the top of the internet. And so when you look out at the landscape out there, you got Netflix and Hulu and Google TV, and those are all extraordinary products. The one thing that's missing on the internet is live broadcast TV. And the reason it's not there is we haven't, until we built the technology to do so, there hasn't been a platform to do it.
And what kind of technology do you use?
So we use the digital broadcast spectrum as a catalyst to engage a viewer online. So we're essentially listening for the over-the-air broadcasts, and when a consumer has a connected TV or a connected device at home, and we hear those broadcasts, we then turn that consumer, rather than getting content over the air or over cable or over satellite, we then transition them to getting content on the internet instead.
And you've got a chart down here in the middle that shows, could you walk us through that very quickly?
Yeah, so essentially we install a piece of hardware at the station that then creates a proprietary broadcast. It's sending out a broadcast of our data over the air, and in the household you have a new connected TV or you have this device here, a SyncLink. It hears those broadcasts and then catches them, sends them back through the internet. And when it passes through the internet, it creates a unique consumer ID. That unique consumer ID is then sent up to the sync box, which is here, and then it is sent out over the air. And what's really important and special about our technology is when that happens, there's only one household in the world that knows that broadcast is coming. So we've taken the one-to-many broadcast medium, broadcasting, that we know, and we've embedded little kernels of data in there. So each individual household has the equivalent of keys to online content sent to them over the air. So then they can watch anything they want over the internet on their smartphone or their iPad or their laptop, because we've sent the rights to them over the air to do so.
Now, is this also mobile technology?
It's absolutely mobile in that it uses any wireless device can now access your home television regardless of where you are to get the content that's going on in your home. What's different about the way we do it is, as opposed to, say, a Slingbox, which is a great technology, but it moves content in and around your home upstream and then downstream, we just reach into the home with your smartphone, find what content you're entitled to, and then go back to the cloud, if you will, the internet, and deliver the content directly down to you. So it's a more efficient way of delivering content over the web.
Is this product on the market now? How did you develop it? What's your background?
I actually created the technology that sits between EchoStar and DirecTV and the major networks and all of the affiliates, and really answers the question, what channels should this subscriber get? So as we fast forward, that was 1996 to 2011, the question is, how do we move broadcast television now to this new platform, perhaps an even better platform, which is over the top or over the internet? So we started out 2 years ago developing the technology. We're today deployed at 12 stations We have 38 stations in queue for the month of June, so we'll be at 50 stations here very, very soon. And we expect our commercial launch of the technology to happen at CES 2012, so this coming January.
Where are you based?
We're based in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
How many U.S. jobs are associated with SyncBack?
So today we are basically a building full of engineers, so we have 14 engineers running around our building. But as we become a more consumer-oriented business, we theoretically could create hundreds of jobs to manage the whole notion of TV over the top of the internet.
Where are your boxes manufactured?
So we manufacture our boxes right in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So we kept everything right here at home. We're building 1,000 of these right now that we'll deploy at all of the stations, the first 1,000 stations, and we plan on keeping everything here.
Jack Perry, why are you here at the Capitol Hill show to show this to legislators?
Well, one of the issues with respect to broadcast television today is how do you enable it to play on the internet? And so that is as much a business issue as it is a policy issue. So we're here to make sure that when anyone says, boy, we can't move broadcast television to the internet, that we respond to that person with saying, well, yes, you can, and here's how. So we're here to make sure that everyone inside the Beltway knows that a technology exists.
What's the National Association of Broadcasters' view of your product, and are you using a lot of spectrum when you do this?
Yeah, two great questions there. One, both the Consumer Electronics Association and the NAB are investors in our company. So in getting their endorsement about, do you like the way I'm doing this, they ended up both becoming an investor in the company or investors in our company. The spectrum that we're using is 0 because we're embedding our tokens into essentially the null packets or the leftover data that isn't filling up that 1939 that each station has. So it's very, very spectrum efficient to do this. We can move 100% of the households over the web, from over the air to over the web, with very few bits being used to do it.
Jack Perry, founder and CEO of SyncBack, showing us some of the new technology on display here at the Capitol Electronics Consumer Electronics Show on Capitol Hill. Anthony Fornito, double agent with the Geek Squad of Best Buy. What are we looking at?
What you're looking at is basically this is a representation of all the amount of product that Best Buy recycles every given day of every minute the store is open. So far to date, we've taken in approximately 500,000 tons. Hopefully by 2014, we'll reach our goal of 1 billion tons of recycled material.
These are all old computers and related electronics equipment, correct?
Yep, computers, TVs, some cell phones, basically anything related to your technology needs of today.
Is e-waste a growing problem?
Yes, I would say so. Many people take their old TVs and stuff to landfills where they get broken down, but the parts don't get reused, which is something that Best Buy tries to do with our manufacturers and our companies to limit our carbon footprint of the products that we're putting out, as well as be able to replace those products for the consumers in the home.
So, Mr. Fornito, this laptop that we have right here on top, this compact, what will happen to this to get it recycled?
What will happen to it is it'll get broken down, the screen will get torn out, all the internal parts will get torn out. Some of it will get sent back to manufacturers that can reuse it. The rest of it will get broken down and reused in another fashion in industrial or farming or something like that.
Are there dangerous chemicals or products in these computers?
Yes, with every laptop that you recycle, you have the LCD screen, which are chemicals inside of that, which aren't good for landfill, so they get broken down. And also the batteries on the inside of both laptops and desktops are toxic. They sit in the ground too long, they can leak into the ground, and then that can cause bad environmental issues for everyone at stake.
Why did you feel it was important at Best Buy to have this display for members of Congress to see and their staff?
Just that, companies are working towards recycling. Best Buy is, we do work very closely with our manufacturers of our own products. We have a couple of products that we sell that we manufacture ourselves. And just to display that we are trying to limit our carbon footprint while in the environment, and to show that we can, we do take in products and we recycle them, and hopefully that'll inspire people to bring in their products to Best Buy. I know sometimes it can be a hassle to bring it in, but you can always talk to the sales representatives, and the reward will be good for everybody in the long run.
Now you have 3 containers over here. Describe what these are, starting at the top.
At the top we have an older, this is a newer TV. This is actually an LCD TV.
In that container, right?
In that container, yes. I don't know the size of it when it came out, but that's about how much internal stuff gets taken out. You can imagine that kind of big square hanging out versus that. That is actually an older computer monitor.
In the middle?
In the middle, yes, on the middle. Once again, I don't know the size of it, but you can imagine how much has been broken down. And then, like I said, some of that stuff will be reused. It'll get sent out to manufacturers, any parts that are usable, and the rest of it all gets turned into something else. And down on the bottom is an old CRT TV. You may remember those, the bigger ones. And once again, once the glass has been removed and all the tox has been removed, that's what's left over, and that's where it all ends up.
Anthony Fornito, have the products that we buy, the electronic products that we buy, gotten greener over the years?
Yes, they have. Especially in our appliances, everything has gone to Energy Star appliances to try to help reduce the energy needs that are used. A lot of TVs and cell phone companies have also moved to longer lasting batteries so that they don't get thrown away as much. And once again, batteries, people tend to throw those right into the trash. You want to stop doing that. You want to bring it in so we can recycle it and take care of it for you.
So what does a double agent on the Geek Squad for Best Buy do?
Primarily, we are responsible for going into the homes, taking care of our clients' needs in the home. I particularly do businesses in D.C. I go into businesses and take care of their computer needs, pretty much anything they want, and use the resources at my disposal.
Anthony Fornito with the best title ever, Double Agent with the Geek Squad at Best Buy. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.